Law is fun. Law is fun. This is the news flash that
Okay.
everyone's been waiting for. Law is fun.
Cory, a warm welcome to the Face Yoga Expert podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Danielle. I actually feel the warmth of that welcome across the screen. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you're in Brazil. I'm in Bath in the UK. We're in completely different climates at the moment, but both enjoying our surroundings and enjoying life.
How nice to be present.
Yes.
Be
So
present, enjoy what's happening, being here now. But I felt the warmth. Even though it is warm here, it was like double warm.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear. And everything you do radiates warmth. And I love seeing how you've brought everything to do with law into the yoga world, into the wellness world. And I know that you work a lot with heart led entrepreneurs and conscious entrepreneurs. And I'd love to take it back to the beginning to start off with and just understand a little bit how you decided to bring together your law background and then your love for yoga and sort of fuse them together.
It it happened. Looking back, it's sort of miraculous that it happened. It was a change out of necessity, to be completely honest, because I had reached the end of the road being a lawyer in any other capacity. I realized that it didn't work for me. It wasn't who I was. I wasn't interested to work with the types of people I'd been working with. I had done some corporate law with clients like mining companies and tobacco companies, and I had done some small business law for entertainment companies, and it never gelled. And I was about to abandon ship and, you know, look for a different industry, look for a different career, and use law as a stepping board to whatever I wanted my next job would be. And I met with a mentor, and he just told me, he's like, "Hey, Cory, why don't you just dream it up? Think about if you could work with anyone, who would you work with? What would you do?" And it was very sage advice. And serendipitously, at the same moment, I was practicing a yoga class with one of my favorite teachers in Vancouver. Someone got injured. No one signed a waiver. We were outside of the studio. And I went up afterwards and I was like, "Hey, do you understand the liability and the risk of this?" And it just went completely over their head. And I realized, wow, these people don't understand they're amazing at my teacher who brought me Alan Watts and brought me Krishnamurti and brought me so much spiritual guidance. And I realized, wow, there's such a firm piece they have in place, but they're missing such an important piece about being an entrepreneur. And I think yogis especially don't always see themselves necessarily as entrepreneurs, but more so as yoga teachers with a yoga community. So then everything kept going from there. I realized that there was no one serving the market. It felt aligned with me, and then it took care of itself. I really never had to force or do anything, but it was the right place in the right time, but also having my heart in the right place and being open to receive it at the right time too.
That just sounds amazing. And I know that listening to my podcasts are a lot of yoga teachers. Of course, I train people to be face yoga teachers, wellness entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs. And I'm sure as they hear those words, they will say, "Cory, you are so right. I'm great at my yoga teaching. I'm great at understanding about wellness and spirituality. But the whole law thing just feels a bit icky to me or a bit difficult or like a world that we don't really want to get into. And I include myself in that for sure. So, can you tell us why it is so important that we actually get things right when it comes to legal matters?
It's very important because you want to be in control of the situations that take place in your business. That's really what it's about. So the biggest distinction I see in people who I work with is, on one hand, there are my clients who are proactive, and maybe they had a mentor or a guide, or they just have had other entrepreneurial experience. They say, "I know that I need legal documents in order." So they want to work with me before anything happens, before there's a problem. Those are very fun and easy and light and enjoyable types of relationships. On the other hand, there are some clients who have not set anything up, who are in some ways accidental entrepreneurs, who maybe didn't have an intention to start a business or build a community, but they started doing something. They were great at it. people responded and they were able to, build something from it. And then a problem happens because they didn't have the framework, the legal framework or the documents in place at the start. And then when I have to fix a problem, that's when it's a little bit more stressful, challenging, difficult. And I just hear the same words like, I wish I had done this before the problem happened. So part of what I am on a crusade and my efforts to do is to bring awareness to the legal issues. And to answer your question more directly, to make it very succinct and simple, you have different legal relationships that are invisible. You don't realize that you have them. You don't realize every time you're teaching someone, if something goes wrong and they get injured or suffer damages, you're the one who's responsible. So because you can't see it and it was never brought to your awareness, you don't know that you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know that you need that support. And so I'm as a yoga teacher myself, and I started a yoga festival and I wrote a book. My dog keeps sneezing, by the way. I'm just going to give him a shout out. Ringo.
Oh, he's gorgeous.
Ringo. Hey, aqui. Oh, sorry. It's not. If you hear sneezing noises, it's him. It's not me.
I didn't actually hear it at all.
Oh, I just keep hearing sneezing. But anyway, so there are invisible relationships that maybe you're not aware that you'd be liable. If you have other people working for you, are they classified as contractors or employees? That can have real serious implications for your business. So I'm just trying to, with my experience of having worked with, over 1,000 clients over 6 years, just share the information, let people know what's important, because I want to see everyone protected and building their community in a safe way.
Absolutely. And I know that everyone will be, well, A, very intrigued by that, but B, thinking, what is step one? What should we do if we're not already legally protected in some way? Where do we start?
We start by looking at the different relationships that we have. So, because like I said, it's invisible, the liability or the legal obligations you have is invisible, but think about the different relationships you have. So you have online relationships, which is one sort of relationship. Maybe you have a team or a business partner. That's another relationship. You have a relationship with liability and possible negligence and getting sued. That's one relationship. And then you have a working relationship with your clients. And those are the 4 main areas. And the goal in every relationship that you're able to uncover in doing some sort of exercise to look at that is, am I communicating my expectations openly and honestly in each of those relationships? And as a small little asterisk, communicating expectations openly and honestly does not equal best legal practices. But if we're really talking about a place to start, the first place to start is, are we on the same page? Mm-hmm. Do you know what you're getting from me? Do I know what I'm getting from you? Is everything clearly written down and properly organized? And once it really should be one step, but I'm trying to break it into 2 to make it more palatable. The second step would then be, is this evidence and signed in a legal contract specific to the relationship we want to have? Because I'll just very briefly explain where most of my work is done and how the legal process, generally speaking, will work. You want to have a signed agreement, and you want the signed agreement to reflect the relationship you want to have. When this happens, if there's some miscommunication or some misalignment of expectations, or someone is out of integrity and not keeping their word, it's really easy, because all you have to do is take a screenshot of the signed agreement, say, hey, you agreed that payments were going to be made every month on the 15th day. Today is the 17th. I didn't receive payment. As it stands, you haven't kept your word. How can I support you in this? And it's so much more powerful to be able to, and that's one example in one relationship, but it's so much more powerful when you are able to come from that position, because it's not finger pointing. I said this, you said this, we're not sure. It's like, it's unequivocal what we agreed upon. It's here. You signed it. I signed it. There it is. How can we improve this? It's not shaming anyone. It's not making anyone wrong. It's just pointing out, this is our working relationship that we signed in a contract. How do we get to both of us keeping our word? And if things escalate from there, it's much easier for you to be able to navigate your position and resolve the issue when you have a signed contract. If someone's broken a contract, the issue will be resolved very quickly and very easily. Whereas if you don't have a signed contract, it drags on, it becomes expensive, then you're stressed. Now you're not focused on your business or your clients, and it's a major distraction.
Absolutely. And I know many, many wellness entrepreneurs, and I know most are very good with getting signed contracts with business partners, with employees, with contractors that work with them. But actually, where it starts to feel a little bit more difficult and a little bit more uncomfortable is with clients. So maybe those clients are coming to maybe workshops they're teaching, or regular weekly classes, or they're considering having one-to-one sessions with them. What would you advise in that case? Because of course, I know that many yoga teachers will want to set up the relationship as a very friendly, relaxed relationship, because of course that's what they want to be embodying in their class and within their business. And secondly, they of course, for want of a better phrase, want to close the sale. So they want those people to come to their yoga classes, to sign up for their workshops. So in that case, what do you advise? Do you advise having a full waiver, or some sort of short contract, or some sort of terms and conditions? What's usually best practice in that case?
The best practice is to, it's not a question if you should get people to sign a waiver of liability. And this is the first point is part of this is client management, right? Mm-hmm. And how you work with your community and how you communicate with them and how you relate to them. That's one part of it. But first and foremost, just so that it's very clear for everyone, if you're operating a studio or a class and you're afraid to get people to sign a waiver, or you think it might scare them off, just think about it this way. God forbid if there's an accident, and unfortunately I've worked with over 1,000 clients in 6 years. I've seen a lot of accidents take place. So accidents unfortunately do happen. If an accident takes place and you do not have a waiver, the game is over. Your game is over. The game is over. Everything you've worked for, everything you've built all of the time for goodwill in your brand and saving money and everything is jeopardized by not doing that. It's like driving a car and not wearing a seatbelt. So it's not a question of if. Everyone should be signing a waiver of liability. When it comes to the client management side and communicating, I find it's best for clients to take an altruistic approach, where you're just explaining to people, and we have a rule at my law firm, Conscious Counsel, we don't call them contracts, we call them agreements. Mm-hmm. And that's like, even, it's lighter. Wow, I feel like I saw your shoulders go down when I said it's an agreement. So it's not you're not signing the contract, it's a shared agreement that we have together. And when an agreement is signed, because A, we want to have a professional relationship, and B, we want the healthiest working relationship possible. When you're asking someone to sign a service agreement because you want the healthiest working relationship possible, people will be very, very receptive, as opposed to, you cannot work together until you sign our contract. Yeah. So it's a little bit of massaging and moving it in a different way, but that's part of my work. The mission for myself and my law firm is transform the way legal services are provided to heart-leading entrepreneurs. That's my mission. That's my professional life mission. So part of that is, even though it's a very small contextual shift, moving from sign the contract to let's engage in the most beneficial, healthiest working relationship together. And you'll see that yogis especially will respond very well to that framing, because that's in alignment with the paradigm that we have both as yoga teachers and yoga studios and as yoga students.
Absolutely. And like with anything, it's the energy we bring to it, the language that we use, the intention behind it. So actually, I love that you're saying that we can bring that yogic energy and that yogic intention to our legal matters. And something else that I really loved, I think I saw this on your website, is you said that legal matters can be fun. So the law can be fun. Talk to us about how we can make it feel a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more fun.
Yes, law is fun. Law is fun. This is the news flash that everyone's been waiting for. Law is fun. The way that law can be fun, firstly, is by saying out loud, law is fun.
Mm-hmm. Affirmations.
Yeah, it's and look, I get it that whoever's listening to this before you were listening to this, you never thought about this concept before, and that's okay because everyone has their small piece to play. For me, if what I'm doing is making whatever pill I have to get people to take so that they're protecting their business, I'm going to try my best to give it to them. And law is fun because what you're really doing is you're being proactive and you're taking care of a future problem in a heart leading and aligned way. And that actually is fun. Proactively resolving problems so that you're not stressed and you're not worried and you're not losing money in the future. And you're doing so in a way that feels aligned with you is that, to me, that is a fun activity. That actually sounds like fun. Like I would spend my time doing that. And we recently passed 350 5-star reviews. So we're at 352 right now. I don't know who's counting. Like maybe someone is to know it's at 352. But it's our team. We had a team meeting when we got to 350 because that was a goal of ours. And so we read through a whole bunch of them. And it's crazy because everyone is like, wow, working with lawyers was really fun. Or I didn't think that this would be this much fun to have agreements in my language and in a way that feels aligned with me and feels authentic. And anything can be fun based on the way that you look at it. I'm like, after I made law fun personally, not this isn't a service I offer, but I was committed to making working with my accountant fun. And I was like, how can I make my relationship
Let's make
with my
finance
accountant
fun.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Probably spending a little bit of time to speak to them, to build a friendship, to explain what my goals are. And it's been a lot more fun since I did that. But if I looked at, oh my God, it's my accountant and I hate this and I don't want to do it and it's going to be terrible, like we're creating our world with our words. So law is fun.
Yeah. And I think the first step to it is really to have that understanding, that awareness, to educate ourselves on it. And I think that, I'm probably speaking for a lot of wellness professionals where they do it for the love of it. They do it for the love of the teaching and the art of it and the helping other people. And actually, perhaps there's an avoidance when it comes to legal matters and finance matters. That's almost like a second thought. And I know I've been in that position before as well. So I'm definitely speaking from personal experience as well. But actually, what I have found personally is as soon as I stop avoiding that and start understanding that side of things, then actually not only does it become fun, maybe. I'll take your word on that. Fun, yeah. Okay, let's say fun, yes. Let's use our affirmations on that. But it becomes empowering. And that's really what it is. It becomes empowering because you're starting to take ownership, I think the word is ownership of your whole business. And legal is an important part of that as well. And I think it is just about shifting mindset. And one thing as yogis we're good at is shifting our mindset.
Very true, Danielle. And like you really hit the nail on the head. And just in hearing you speak, I was thinking, you're right. It's when you take ownership over every aspect of your business, you become empowered. Mm-hmm. And in my first 2 years, I did not have a relationship with my accountant. It cost me a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then I had a story, and my story was, I don't understand numbers. I really don't understand this. This is too difficult. And then it just took having to pay a lot of money for me to be like, okay, maybe I can maybe I can work on my story and create a different story in my life where I'm a competent entrepreneur and I can deal with the problems that I have to face and I can get educated about any area. And it's really that fine line of like, where do I have to learn? Like I'm never going to be an accountant. I have no interest to be an accountant. But what I've seen with my clients is a transformation and a shift from like, I don't get it. I don't understand anything about the law to like, okay, like maybe I understand up to here, but up to here is all I need in order to take ownership, to feel independent, to feel confident and empowered in this area. And now I can grow my sales and grow my business and build a team and do all the things that I want to do.
I love that. And talking about your business and your team, one of the many inspiring things you do is travel. So you're in Brazil at the moment. Tell us a little bit how building this online legal business has allowed you to travel and really live your dream life.
It has. What I'll say is, when I started my law firm online in 2016 or 2017. At the time, no one was doing it. This was before COVID. It was very strange for there to be a lawyer who was online. But as I mentioned earlier, I was at a tipping point where I was almost ready to give up from law. And I decided that, like, okay, I have to work with people who I love, and I have to be able to travel. And in doing so, I was very, very committed to only offering services that could be done online as a lawyer. So that was first and foremost. And it's interesting because I have a friend who's starting a new business and feels that they need to be living in a city in order to do it. And I explained that when Conscious Counsel really grew and really took the next step, I was living in a Brazilian beach town with no cars, no roads, very weak Wi-Fi, no English speakers. I was learning Portuguese at the time. All of my friends worked at at a restaurant or at the beach bar or wherever, or at the hotel. And no, there was no one doing what I was doing. But for some reason, that environment opened me up to finding a way to build it in the way that I've been able to build it. And so travel has been the absolute cornerstone and the rock of everything that I've produced, because the way that it makes me feel. And so, and I got a lot of advice when I was starting. A lot of people said, hey, it'll never work if you just work with yogis, and it'll never work if you're moving in different countries and online and whatever it is that you're doing. And I listened to what they said, and I said, well, I'm going to try, and I'm going to do everything to make it work. And it was, to be honest, it was the environment around me that brought whatever Conscious Counsel has become and will continue to become. It's because of the environment. So it's counterintuitive. I think there aren't a lot of people who would say the same thing. That's okay. It's only my experience. I don't know. Everyone's had their own experiences, but for me, how I feel, the environment that I'm in, the amount of time I'm able to spend in nature, how inspired I am, how curious I am, the different perspectives of ways that I'm able to look at something, I attribute that to the success of my business. Yeah. And travel for me has always been the greatest accelerator to tap into those feelings.
Absolutely. When you feel good, you're just on that higher frequency, higher vibration, and that's when you're going to really manifest what you want. And actually, maybe you wouldn't have had this level of success if you were in a concrete block building with an office block stuck in a city that you didn't like. So actually, like you say, perhaps this is the key to your success, because you are living in that high vibe life.
It could be we don't get contingencies in life, and I wouldn't go back anyways to see, like, oh, what would it be like if I moved to Santa Monica in California and I opened up my yoga law office? That, like, we'll never know. Yeah. But what I can't, but in the same line, I'm heading to Mozambique shortly, and I've got plans to be in Mozambique and Zambia and Zimbabwe and Kenya and Ghana and Nigeria and Senegal. And I can't explain there's no rational explanation, but A, it feels like the logical next step. And B, I'm certain that I will have some revelations about my business, about my team, about opportunity that will come to me by virtue of the conversations with the people I meet and just looking at life in a different way. So I feel super, super privileged and really, really lucky to have this lifestyle. And I would just say to anyone who's listening that you can create it for yourself. If you can be a lawyer who works online with yoga professionals, yeah. You can be a yoga professional who works anywhere in the world with any type of person. You can create anything that you want and follow the inner voice that leads you on that path and enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. And you're fully listening to your intuition, which is the way that I have always ran my business as well. And I think that, well, I know that if you listen to that, you can never go wrong. It's as soon as we start getting into our head, as soon as we start worrying what other people think of us, as soon as we start letting old patterns and experiences and traumas guide us, that's when we do things wrong. When we listen to our gut, when we listen to our intuition, then that's when we're always on the right path. And the other thing that I really observe you doing, which is something that I teach all the time, because I also do business coaching for women in wellness, I always tell them to only market to their soulmate client. Don't try and be everything to everyone. Find who your soulmate client is, and that's your person. They're the people you're speaking to. They're the person you're marketing to. And that's what I see that you're doing so well. Your soulmate clients are yogis. Your soulmate clients are heart-led entrepreneurs. And that's how you are niching your business. That is who you are speaking to all the time. And I think that's amazing and a great example of what I always teach to people.
Thank you very much. I acknowledge you for I've never heard this term soulmate clients, but it's really beautiful, and you're totally right. And what I've learned, and it took me probably 3 years in my business to come to realize the following lesson: people are going to want to work with you or they're not. And it's very simple, because there are so many stories we can come up with, like, why didn't they sign up? Why did, oh, I felt so good about it. At the end of the day, I show up. I'm really good at what I do. I know that I can help you. If you're in, you're in. If you're not in, best of luck. I hope everything takes care of itself. And there's such a weight that's lifted off when you don't make it about you, when you make it about the connection. It's two people that have to want to work together, who have met each other at the right time. And it works perfectly when what they need, I'm able to do, and they want to work with me and I want to work with them. Zero. That's the way that you get to 352 5-star Google reviews, is by working with your soulmate clients, not by begging people, harassing people, following up, taking it personally. Cool. We're all adults here. We all are informed. We can all make great decisions for our business. And when you need me, I'm ready. And I've also said no to clients in the past when I don't feel comfortable either with the relationship or with the work. And that's boundaries, right? Boundaries is also a very important part of relationships too.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And I'm really intrigued to know what wellness routines and rituals you have day to day, which help you be such an amazing entrepreneur and also help you feel calm and grounded within yourself.
Yerba mate is a really big one.
What is this? Tell me what
this is. This is Argentinian green tea called yerba mate.
Wow.
Okay. I've been drinking it I lived in Argentina the first time in 2010, which, wow, that's a while ago when you say it out loud. But ever since then, I've been drinking mate almost every day. I'm at 1,029 consecutive days meditating, but who's counting? No idea.
Who is counting?
I don't know who's doing all of that counting. But I would say probably it's maybe, I don't know if it's trite, but I'd say it's more in some ways. Yeah, meditation's really big for me. I listen. One of my teachers is Esther Hicks. So I listen to Esther Hicks every single morning. I'll sit I have my journal, I'll write notes from whatever she says in the video. And really the game for me is finding ways to feel good and finding ways to have positive expectation. And the more that you can it's so simple in some ways. Obviously, it's like behind the scenes, it's consistent hard work and showing up every day. And I can say, in having done this for 6 years, I've gone through periods where I've been super into the business and like super inspired. And then there's also moments where like, I'll have 3 months where I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And that's like, I think giving yourself space and permission to feel that is really healthy, because I always know that I'll come back to it and that I love it and that it's the key to living the life of my dreams. But really it's the game is, what are the tools that make you feel good? Because when you feel good, good things happen. And then the asterisk to that as well is, when things are not going well, shut it down. For me, shut it down. Like, I'm frustrated. I thought something was going to happen. It didn't happen. I can tell. I know what it's like when I'm flowing, and I know what it's like when I'm not. And when I'm not, I'm just like, peace, going to the beach with my dog. I'm making popcorn. I'm not opening my computer. I'm not doing anything, because I know that if I feel good, like in 1 hour of feeling good and being dialed in, everything takes care of itself. So there's also that trust and faith and a positive expectation and belief as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm really intrigued while you're talking, whether you know A, anything about human design, and B, if you know your human design energy type.
No, I did.
No, okay.
No.
Okay, so you need to look that up and let me know. So you need to put in your birth date. Your birth date is so accurate. And I'm guessing, I mean, I'm no means an expert in human design, but I find it so intriguing. And often when I'm chatting to guests, I'm sort of trying to guess what their human design is. I'm guessing you might be manifesting generator. That's just a guess. I might be completely wrong. So like I say, it's not my area of expertise, but it's really interesting how you're so led by your intuition. And, you know, when something lights you up, you're fully into it. And then, you know, sometimes you need to take a step back if it's not fully lighting you up. So yeah, let me know. Drop me a message.
I will. I look forward to looking into that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of the day I was born. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will also say that everything is a constant practice over time. And I have a lot of clients who are just starting businesses. And what I always say to them is when I just read a lot of books. Yeah. I read a lot of books, and it's also a daily practice. It's like, you know, you just every day, in some way, every day you have to show up and do the work. And I feel like I'm nowhere even close to my potential of what I'm going to be able to create and the amount of people that'll help. But what I would say is what's gotten me this far and doing what I've done, which again is only important to me. I don't really care what anyone else says or thinks about it. But it's a constant practice. And like, as an example, this weekend, I went on I call them retreats, like a personal retreat. Mm-hmm. So I just left my phone. I went with my dog to a nearby beach town. I brought 2 books that I wanted to read, and I just read my books, and I just journaled and wrote about what I was going through and what I was experiencing. And I think sometimes we look at other people and we think like, oh, it just happened. Like, oh, cool, you got yoga, whatever. Everything is a constant work, showing up for yourself every day, knowing what things help you the best and do them. Because once you get that, everything takes care of itself, really.
Absolutely. And for my final question to you, I'd love to ask you if you could give everyone one top tip for really feeling inner peace, what would it be?
If one is able to achieve a mindset that everything is always happening for you, and that everything's always working out for you, then that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really it. Everything is happening for you. If you can really find the strength and the resolve that no matter what it is and how it manifests, if you're just like, cool, this is happening for me, unstoppable. You'll be happy, you'll be satisfied, you'll be empowered. You're not attached to any particular outcome, and that's a superpower strength.
Definitely it is. And Cory, I would love you to let everybody know a little bit about how they can contact you, how they can find out more about what you do, and of course about your legal practice and legal firm as well.
Yes, I'm happy to give myself a shout out here. I wrote a book called The Yoga Law Book, so you can go to Amazon and put in Yoga Law Book. Our law firm is Conscious Counsel, so you can go to the website consciouscounsel.ca, or on Instagram it's @ConsciousCounsel. And I think that those are probably the best avenues to reach out. And also, if anyone heard anything that resonated, you can write me an email, Cory@consciouscounsel.ca, CORY. And Danielle, I can't thank you enough. This has been such a great conversation, and I also feel myself at in Bath, as they say.
Bath in the UK, yes.
But
yes.
At Bath, but I felt so comfortable and at home in this conversation, and I know that's a reflection of what you do and the people you work with in your community. So thank you for the opportunity, for having me.
Thank you so much, Cory. It's been a pleasure having you.